Kash has been taking a lot of heat even from allies. It just seems like objectively, though, he was clownish. But I'm curious, as somebody who knows this stuff better, how you assess what we've seen from Kash.
What I think we should point out, though, is that the way Patel handled being the director of the FBI at this time was a bit of a clown show. You know, he tweeted that the subject was in custody. Then he tweeted that that was a mistake. The subject is not in custody. The person they were questioning was let go.
Have you ever seen anything like that?
No. First of all, the FBI is supposed to speak through indictments and complaints and arrests. It is not supposed to be opining mid-investigation about ongoing matters. The second thing about his commenting is, like, it's important to remember he had a personal relationship with the victim. And I'm not saying that as a value judgment. I'm pointing it out because anybody who has the slightest experience in law enforcement would know that when that's the case, you should really be recusing yourself, because it's going to call into question why you did certain things and if it was personally motivated versus operationally necessitated.
How could someone like Kash Patel, the bungling FBI director, still be at his job after the amateur hour he displayed just after the Charlie Kirk shooting? Well, you may not be the only one scratching your head and wondering the same. Recall that just after Kirk's slaying, Patel posted on X that we got him. He said this while sitting in some fancy restaurant, cozying up to celebrities, only for it to turn out that the two people detained by the FBI, the ones Patel had tweeted about, had nothing to do with the killing. Both were later released. You know what really stands out in all of this? The sheer negligence at the very top, the very hallmark of how we live in America today. Let's take a closer look at the FBI. The man at the helm, Kash Patel, has now turned one of the most powerful law enforcement agencies in the world into his personal playground. Reports say intelligence briefings are now cut back because Patel couldn't be bothered to show up on time. And when he does show up, he often zones out. And while national security was supposed to be his priority, Patel was busy jetting around the country on government FBI planes looking for gigs. Vegas, Nashville, sports events, celebrity parties. That was his focus. That is what he's doing.
I spoke to more than 15 current and former FBI and Justice Department officials for this story, and they all expressed concern that Kash Patel is just not taking the job of FBI director as seriously as he should be. I was told, for example, that his 8:30 a.m. intelligence briefing was reduced from 5 days a week to 2 because he had trouble showing up on time. And when he does attend, I'm told his briefers are finding it hard to hold his attention. Meanwhile, he's been traveling around the country on FBI jets to Las Vegas, where he has a home, and to Nashville, where his country singer girlfriend lives. And he's also been spotted at pro hockey games and UFC fights. My FBI sources are saying this is not the kind of leadership that inspires confidence.
This isn't leadership. It's vanity, dressed up in a badge and a title. And when tragedy struck, what did we see from the so-called inner circle of Trump world? Not grief, not duty, not accountability. Instead, what we saw was theater. Trump, on the one hand, worried about optics, about his brand, about how to squeeze political gain out of disaster. Patel, on the other, was the man who helped create this mess. Yet he couldn't even manage a serious investigation. Every step he took only showed how unfit he was for the role. Even Fox News is now reporting Patel's days are numbered. The chaos has become too obvious to ignore. Trump is preparing to cut him loose, not because of principle, but because Patel has become a liability. And Trump, ever the man obsessed with optics, has realized Patel doesn't look good on TV. That's how it always works in his orbit. Loyalty lasts only until the headlines get too ugly or until you don't look good on TV any longer.
When we were still looking for the guy, I know you posted that we got him. And that ended up not being true. You took some incoming because of that. What led to you posting that? Why did you feel so certain about it? And what do you have to say about the criticism?
No, I appreciate this opportunity. Look, as I stated, I was being transparent with working with the public on our findings as I had them. I stated in that message that we had a subject and that we were going to interview him, and we did, and he was released. The job of the FBI is not just to manhunt the actual suspect who did the killing or suspects, but it's also to eliminate targets and eliminate subjects who are not involved in the process, and that's what we were doing. Could I have worded it a little better in the heat of the moment? Sure. But do I regret putting it out? Absolutely not.
What a pathetic clown show. First, he arrested 2 innocent guys, then promptly rushed to Twitter to tweet, "We've got him," not minding that he is the director of the FBI and a personal friend of Charlie Kirk. Now he is giving excuses on Fox News? I can't help but shake my you-know-what head. But on a more serious note, Patel never took the job seriously. The FBI, gutted from the inside, is now a shadow of itself. Career professionals forced out, investigations derailed, credibility destroyed, political opponents investigated with trumped-up charges. Why? Because Patel cared more about political purges than protecting Americans. And now people are pushing back. Right on cue, welcome to the Pushback Network. Thank you to our amazing subscribers for your support. Please subscribe to this channel and share our analysis with your families, friends, and loved ones. That is the only way we can defend democracy, push back, and hold the line. Now, former top FBI officials are suing, accusing Patel of targeting them simply for refusing to pledge loyalty to MAGA politics. Think about that for a moment. The nation's top law enforcement agency reshaped into a spoils system. Meanwhile, Patel's stunts keep coming. Remember those wild claims about bullets etched with activist slogans? Pure fiction, a distraction designed to shift blame and inflame division among the most vulnerable groups in our country. And who pays the price? Ordinary Americans. Less safe because the FBI can't function as it should. Even Trump's own allies are losing patience. Patel's endless blunders, combined with bitter infighting, have left him isolated. An anonymous source told Fox News that the White House, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche have no confidence in Kash. Patel, in particular, cannot stand him. Neither can Blanche. In the wake of his "We Got Him" fiasco, Patel traveled to Utah for what can only be described as a bizarre press conference where Patel, despite being FBI director, wasn't even allowed to speak. Now we know why. His back-to-back communication fumbles sparked fury inside the White House and among top DOJ officials. There's talk that Andrew Bailey, currently co-deputy director of the FBI alongside Dan Bongino, is being lined up by Trump as Patel's replacement. It seems like the walls are finally closing in. But the story doesn't stop there. The Epstein scandal lingers in the background. Money trails ignored, files buried, reports untouched. Patel and Trump's orbit have been accused of looking the other way, shielding connections instead of exposing them. This isn't incompetence. This is willful negligence. And that brings us to the bigger picture. How far have we fallen as a nation when corruption and moral rot have become normalized? When powerful men are tied to predators like Epstein, and the reaction is silence? The legacy and corporate media barely cover it. Many have been cowed into fear and silence. Politicians dodge questions. Even when cornered, they lie with a straight face. You begin to wonder, do these guys look at themselves in the mirror and feel proud of what they're doing to this country? You may begin to wonder aloud, but does it matter anymore? Yes, it does matter. Because if we don't hold leaders accountable, if we let institutions rot from the inside, if we shrug off scandals as just politics, then corruption wins. And that has inescapable consequences. It leaves the country weaker, divided, less safe. That's why I will keep pressing these stories, because this isn't just about Patel or Trump or one scandal. It's about the future of the institutions we're supposed to trust in. It's about whether the powerful are ever forced to answer for the damage they cause. So if you believe accountability still matters, if you refuse to let this rot go unchallenged, then stick with me. Let's hold the line and start the pushback. Before you go, do one small thing that makes a big difference. Like this video, subscribe, and share it with your families and friends, because that is how we build a community strong enough to fight for democracy. Together, we can push back against corruption. Together, we can defend what truly matters, and together, we can win.